Hello guys, it's your host from the Brett's Review Show. Let's fire up this review. Today's review is about Gamers Episode 1. This anime, it's complicated. Why? Because filled with nothing but misunderstandings. It starts off with the main character, Keita Amano. He kind of narrates the first part of the episode. You see him poking through the aisles of in a video game store, and he's picking out certain games that he's interested in. And one of them is called, I believe, it's called Golden Memories. It's an all blonde girl dating simulators, and he's very fond of dating simulation games. And cute blonde 2D characters. And while he looks at Golden Memories, and he's looking at the back of it because that's one of the things he likes to do, someone calls out to him, and he's like, huh? And it's a girl, and it just so happens to be the most popular girl in his school. Otsubuki High School. Karen Tendo, and he ends up talking about her. She's a second year, she stands at the top of the class, she's great in sports and academics, she gets a lot of attention, and a lot of the guys in the school, constantly, give her love letters, shove love letters in her locker. So she sees them every time she opens her door when she goes to change her shoes. All these letters come out, and she has to sit there and pick them up with her friends. And when she answers every love letter, and to get these guys' confession, she listens to them and then ultimately just declines them. And it's like the anime itself gives you these little hints, these little words that show up every 5 seconds with certain things that go on. And they say right off the bat, while he's talking about her, that Keita Amano is the reason for her breakdown. Like, she'll all of a sudden have a breakdown. And in my own opinion, I didn't know anything about this anime at first. It's a brand new anime that came out this year, and it's already, the 9th episode came out last week, and obviously episode 10's coming. Despite it being a romance or romance comedy anime, it seems it's surrounded by misunderstanding. Like I said, it's like everybody misunderstands what goes on. And with Keita Amano, every time he's involved, it just goes right out the window. It all gets worse. And Tendo and Amano's introduction to each other is completely hilarious. He's in shock by what he sees, so he over exaggerates what goes on, and and which also makes the misunderstanding a lot more hilarious. And while they're sitting there having a conversation about games, he ends up dropping his games all over the floor. She ends up picking up Golden Memories and taking a look at it. And as she's going through the description, it gets a little, embarrassing. So it causes her to blush, it causes him to freak out, and he's like, I wish I was dead. And then he starts talking about the back and behind the case of the game, reading the description. And while he was talking passionately about that, she kind of giggles about it. And there's so much goes on in this anime, so in every episode there's so much things that goes on, so I really don't want to miss anything. So if I jump around a bit, bear with me. And he's surprised that Tendo actually agrees with him, and she offers him, towards the end of their conversation, right off the bat, she says he is perfect, and that she offers him the opportunity to join her club for just gamers who game professionally, who play for hours and hours, getting good at one game and one game after another, so they can compete in tournaments and win money. And he's, because at first he kind of misunderstood, like, is she going to confess to him? But it was basically just, I want you to join my club. And despite what the light novel says, because I don't read it, I mainly read the manga and watch the anime, and then I have my own opinion about it, of what I assume what will happen. I already assumed, before I even watched this first episode completely, because I only watched 2 clips, and I already could tell right off the bat that this was going to be, even though it's full of misunderstanding, that it's going to be a love triangle. And there's 3 people are going to be in main of this, but we'll eventually get to know the third person who's going to be involved in this triangle later on. And see, I'm flipping through my notes as quickly as I can, because there's so much that goes on. And there is 2 more members that are part of the misunderstanding. One of them that you already meet already is Tasuku, and his Tasuku Urahara and his girlfriend, his cute girlfriend, Agari, who's, clingy, but she's cute and adorable, so it fits. And he's chilling out with his friends and his girlfriend at the arcade. He wins her cat plushie or whatever. And he asked her for money. She's like, what'd you do it? I don't want to get you, do the whole puppy dog face, so he'll be willing to do it with, his own money. And eventually, when they leave the arcade, he ends up seeing Amano in the park, or whatever, I guess it would be a park. And when they eventually meet, when him and Amano eventually meet, that's when problems, like I said, it tends to escalate, the problems get worse. And what he doesn't see Tendo there. So Tendo is giving Amano an explanation why she transferred to the school and came to the school is because of the Gamer Club, because the Gamer Club was already established, and that's why she came. Now, by the time she got there, the Gamer Club was gone. It was no longer active, and she said Amano itself never took her as an otaku for love for gaming or anything like that. But he was quite happy about it. And Tendo kept her secret, for her love for gaming from her friends, and never told anyone. There's another guy that we'll meet soon after this. His name is Masumi, and Tendo asked him around the same time she asked Amano, or probably a little bit beforehand, and they'll meet 2 more members of the club. And she worked hard behind the scenes to revive the club. That's why I'm kind of bouncing around a little bit, so bear with me. There's so much goes on that I have to do this, because I don't want to leave anything out. If I do leave some out, let me know in the comments. And like I said, they win money and blah, blah. And at home, Amano is just now realizing what's going on. I got a timer set up, that's why I'm looking to my right, my left. My right's over here. What the hell? And he's excited, and his phone gets a notification on his phone. It happens to be a social network game, a mobile social network game that he loves playing. Like Unison League, which I'm playing, so if you find a character named Charjr Jr., that I am on there, and don't be afraid to send a friend request. I am on Unison League. Tendo, on the other hand, she really has no fun of these games. She finds them boring and uninteresting, and she even says it herself. And Amano does say that he does like her, that he did have a crush to her, but since he's basically the average type of person, he's kind of low on the scale, Tendo's so high, that he doesn't want to hurt her and have bad rumors spread, He didn't want to hurt her in that way, which is fine and understandable. And when Misumi and Amano meet, almost immediately become friends, and don't really know much about Misumi. He says he lost his memories and he was in the hospital, and that they gave him puzzle games to help help him focus his mind. He might have been. My guess is he might have been in a terrible accident, but who really knows? Maybe we'll find out later on. But he's got this strange ability. It's like he's able to take what he sees. I mean, take what he sees and use it against someone else. Like if he's playing a first-person shooter, like it in this game, in this episode here, that he's able to take this person's gaming style, and use it against him and use it to his advantage, which is actually pretty impressive. And let's see. And when they got to the club, the Amano and Misumi are happily surprised to see a room filled with all sorts of games and gaming consoles. And Tendo gave introductions to the two senpais, or upperclassmen, professional who's super unapproachable, FPS shooter, FPS gamer, Kase Gakuto. He loves first-person shooter games, and he's pretty darn good. And then there's Uiso, Nina, and she loves fighting games. And she tends to get distant. Hopefully I said that name right. If I didn't, I'm sorry. And, like, you have to have apparently Tendo at some point asks Misumi and Amano what's their reason for gaming. Amano's reason is like, I just want to enjoy games. That's the simple of it. Games are meant for entertainment, they're not to be taken seriously. And he pretty much points that out, and that's what he wants to do. And when after the introductions, they played a first-person shooter. In the manga, they played with Nina and played a fighting game for hours. And for like 2 hours, Amano pretty much passes out. It's like, ooh, that was a lot of fun. I'm tired. Blah blah blah. Misumi has surprised everybody in the first-person shooter that he's able to take down Kase 3 times. But Amano immediately after gets scolded and questioned why he wasn't taking the game seriously, which, like I said, he mainly plays it for the enjoyment. He just wanted to see some pretty scenery. And Tendo took a liking to that. I mean, that's why she's so bent on Amano. It's like he's different. And she just sees that as, she sees that as perfect and interesting about him. And if he was to join the club and be a part of their team and take upon tournaments, being Amano as he is, Kase told him that he would make it harder for his team to win, and it kind of hurt Amano's feelings. And with that, Tendo says, I'll take a break and ask that question, what's your real reason? Kase's reason was because his dad's in the military, so he loves first-person shooters. And apparently Nina's reason is to bring her friend from the dark side. So, which is kind of strange, but funny. But Nina's a sexy little character, so I'll be okay with that. I wouldn't mind playing with her a few rounds in a fighting game. I love fighting games. I'd probably get my butt whooped, but who cares? And Tendo also explains why they're so passionate about gaming. Those two are so passionate about gaming, and a little history about them as well. But she, like I said, Amano's real reason was because he just wants to enjoy the game. He doesn't really care about playing it professionally or whatever. Because in a way, he doesn't really seem to have a reason. Why do you need to have a reason to play games? They're simply there for your enjoyment, to take your mind off the stress of the world. and it's pretty stressful. And because of Misumi and because of his past and of losing his memories, which was kind of like a shock to everybody when he brought that up, and having to play puzzle games to help his mind focus, it kind of got Tendo and Amano to kind of change the subject. And towards the end of the day, where Misumi already made his decision, he was going to join the club. Amano was asked, and Kaza and Nina were standing there. Nina took a controller, and the fighting controller that she was using, and handed it to him. She really didn't say much, but Kaze said he would teach Amano how to play the FPS first-person shooter games, and it would help him get better. And he was so happy about it that, like these guys, have always wanted friends who are gamers and blah, 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 and have so much fun. But he declines. I'm sorry, the games here aren't what I want to play. And he just flat out declines them. And he says, he says that. It's like, okay, whatever. Was like the last thing that was said at that scene, but the next morning, after he declines, Amano is sitting in class and he's freaking out, calling himself an idiot, saying that he's stupid for declining, and laugh out loud. It's kind of like a hilarious reaction, but if you think about it, and if you put yourself in his shoes, it's disappointing. And there's a lot of disappointments throughout as well. But just as he's about to lose his mind, another notification on his phone, an invitation to help his friend Mono. And like I said, Tendo dislikes the app games, so because she shows up around the same time, he's just about to accept the invitation. And it's what catches his attention is everybody gasping when Tendo comes up out of nowhere and stands in front of him. And she's irritated. She greets him, and she sees that he's still playing that, and she asks him to join the club and says that she's really interested in him. And just as he raises his hand to take hers, and it kind of made him jump, but then he was so focused on her, and then he's raising his hand, and that moment, that smile on Tendo's face is like I got him, and then, nope, accept the invitation. And every classmate, including Tendo, was just shocked for what Amano just did. It was such a touching moment that Amano just ruined because he had to accept that invitation from his friend Mano on that mobile social network game. And he's like, woo, I got it. But he completely blew Tendo off, which also upset her even more. And he just now noticed this, and it's so rude of him. But he makes kind of like an embarrassing, kind of like a joke about it, and she goes sorry for his earlier rudeness, and he apologizes again and again, but he declines and says that it's just not for him. And Tendo starts to freak out. She feels like she's being rejected, and for someone who, like Tendo, who's so popular and never had anything like that happen, it's kind of a shock to her. And he tells her again that he simply wants to play games for the enjoyment, not professionally. And I'm going to point this out, that games were really meant for entertainment, not to be taken seriously. And nowadays, in this day and age, it's all of a sudden now becoming a serious thing. And Amano has no attention or no interest to play games professionally in competition. He apologizes, he bows, and wishes the club the best. He wants to play games his way, not anybody else's, but he is happy that she invited him. And Tendo is in the middle of her breakdown. She's about to break down and cry. And she starts to insult him, and she goes, "You're nothing to me. you suck at games. And just before she walks off, she starts walking off first, not running. Running comes after this, and she goes, it's not like